All right, all the little upgrades and things that I've done to my kit. All right, so IFAK, I take a thick bungee cord. You can probably also use 550 cord, but I've routed around the top of the plate bag, ensuring that it does not impede. If I was to pull this release system, would still release around the plate bag to kind of bunch up all that and create that good shoulder stock placement area. I also the what's called the soft armor, I folded it back in on itself, at least on the front plate bag, because I want this as thin as possible. Yes, it's a little heavier, but what I've noticed is that when you have too much stuff up here, it's harder to get an actual cheek weld. Okay. Or yeah, and then coming down, I have my placard. The way it's mounted is, obviously one row down, and then I move it over, just one over to the side, because the front of the panel is 6 columns wide, but the actual 3 mag pouch only takes up 5. And what that ends up happening is it leaves one over to the side. And so what I've done is, obviously I have my mag pouch over here. I have one easy access tourniquet right here. Okay. And what I've done is I took 2 magazines. I have some S-Tac Kiwi tall inserts. Okay, these things are money. All right, I don't know if you've seen some of my videos before, but I've shown multiple times you can have these things fully loaded. Literally turn this kit upside down, shake it, and nothing will fall out. This is something I learned a long time ago. Lanyarding off your trauma shears, very, very important to do. Okay. I'll put that there for now. All right, over here, obviously I have this pouch. It's mounted on this column, if you'd imagine. And then in the back side, I just have it open like this, because what happens is this buckle will go through this gap right here, and then it'll actually buckle in and connect, and it'll keep good tension on it. But this does 2 things. Obviously, it keeps tension on the actual whole panel itself, helps a little bit. But then it also, what's called, when I release, if I was to pull this release system, the buckles will still come out. Okay. Something else that I've done, this is after, if you run your kit, you'll know what I'm talking about. These flaps and stuff like that do not like to stay attached. They'll like to bounce off, especially when you have magazines on here. It's even worse if you try to double stack. What I've done is I took a 550 cord. I knotted it on the inside, 2 ends coming around, and it's not around this piece right here. It's around the actual hard mounted horizontal MOLLE slots on here. If that makes any sense. And essentially all it does is I tighten this and it keeps it down. I don't have this knotted on the end for the reason of, if I want to remove this, I can just then remove the whole thing. Okay. All right, let's go over here to the left side of my cummerbund. Obviously I have another Army standard 2 mag pouch I'm using as a radio pouch. A couple of ways that I did this. I'm going to take this off. Apologies for the noise. I routed a 550 cord through this little gap right here. See? Okay. And I made it just long enough that if I had, 152, I could put this on here, and it's out of the way enough that I'm able to still connect the what's it called, the PTT. Okay, so this is important. But besides that, having this right here, in this location, is that I can pull on this upward, and then I'm able to then basically get the radio into the pouch itself, because this is internal. It's not easy to get working on there. Okay, so and then obviously what I've also done is I mount when I do internal, I want it a little bit higher than normal, and what happens is with the issued Cummerbund, it doesn't have like a top row over here. So what I've done is I route it through, and then it kind of like goes like this, and then obviously it just mollies through, and it basically raises the pouches up just a little bit. And I do the same thing for the side plate bags. For me, it's pretty important that I do this, because when the side plate bags ride below the cummerbund, what I've noticed that it starts to pinch and rub. I get a lot of from this portion right here, I'll get a lot of what's called rubbing and stuff like that on skin. And obviously same thing on this side. And if I wanted to add another 2 mag pouch, I could, right? So the Rifleman's kit, you get three 2 mag pouches. I could put another one right here. Okay. Go to the back of the cummerbund, or not the cummerbund, back of the kit. All right, so over here, what I've done is, obviously you get issued these little bands right here, but what I've done is I use one side. One side is hard slotted, and I usually do that for the right side. I'm not really going to be doing so much for the right side. And then the other side I use bungee, and this is based on experience. I've broken 2 or 3 of these because what happens is, I don't know if it's kind of hard to see, but you see how it almost kind of pinches. It's hard to explain, but basically the Cummerbund itself, these little loops are not entirely long enough to facilitate the proper mounting. So one side I'm always going to have a bungee, and then it helps with breathing, moving, and all that stuff. Next little thing is, this is based on experience. These issued IFAKs, they kind of suck with the way that they're designed. The Velcro here, when you have it like actually packed out, is not long enough to actually mount in. You can see this little square right here. So what I've done is I took like 1 wrap basically. Okay, I'm gonna pull this out. Okay, you can see. This is my IFAK. All I did was I took a tourniquet and it, used this a little bit right here. But I'm not gonna get into the IFAK. It's all standard. If you have an issue IFAK, it's all the same stuff inside. Okay, but again, I took 1 wrap just to extend it just a little bit out, to be able to connect, and then obviously on both sides, so it's drawable from both sides. But yeah, and then obviously this is just a canteen cup. Again, a lot of this stuff is SOP based. This is the bare line. I'm not sure what your unit might want, how they want it, but a lot of units out there do not allow plate carriers, and they don't allow things like commercially bought pouches, so on and so forth. So if this is what you're using, this is what you have to use, then so on and so be it. I'm not going to talk about the M7 and all that stuff. I don't have those pouches or any of that type of stuff yet. But yeah, this is just where I'm at right now. Anyway, let me know what y'all think.